Support the channel by becoming a channel member or joining the Patreon through patreon.com/manlightfoot. Across the Spider-Verse is a film that earns every last bit of credit possible. It manages to outdo its predecessor and push the medium of animation in ways that seem like just a dream for animation fans back in the day. It built on its foundation with Miles in a way anyone can relate to, with its allegory of not being wanted and being forced to follow a path. It did what any sequel should do, and that's elevate what came before. But with all those that have talked these important facets of the movie to death, I don't see too many people talking about the solidarity aspect to Across the Spider-Verse. There's obviously a lot to analyze this film for, and I'm pretty sure all of YouTube has already done that in every uncomfortable way possible. But this seems to be something I feel is overlooked by the community as a whole. With how Miles was treated and seeing only a few on his side, you'd think people would focus in on that angle a little more. SpiderPunk and SpiderByte of course didn't have a lot of time in the movie, but when they show up it leaves an impression, and one that deserves some discussion, so I'm gonna give them just that. There's a lot to be said on this front, so let's web swing into things. Look, y'all not getting your money back.
He wants to go out into the world and do great big things. And what I worry about most is they won't look out for you like us.
Now, of course, getting into things with Black solidarity means having to explore the main cause of it. I swear to God, y'all need to let this boy shine. I'm talking about Miles. Miles is a very unique character that manages to carry importance inside the comics and out. With him taking the mantle of Spider-Man, you know there was going to be a lot of people that were against him from the jump. Some were just not akin to change happening in general, but a good chunk were against him because they're, say it with me now, racist. Y'all already know, the sky is blue, race war never changes, that typical song and dance. So for Miles, he's facing an uphill battle in both the movies and IRL in a sense. In his first movie, it was about him coming to grips with being a superhero. He clearly had some growing to do, and we see it play out for him, and it's all done in a spectacular way and a unique way that's something that we haven't really seen from Spider-Man, which is what really makes that film stand out. And Across the Spider-Verse, Miles now sees that being Spider-Man is a heavier burden than he thought. He has to juggle his schoolwork and keeping the secret from his family, who has a cop in it, mind you. So it's not an easy task. It clearly can get to him, as we see when he gets very snippy at the party.
It's my life.
It's not your life. It's mine and your father's and your abuelos, the abuelas, who put you in this spot that I'd give anything to be in.
All right, whatever. I don't like that shit.
This was a significant moment that you don't really get with Peter since his parents are dead. It's a really big difference between them. We get to see a Spider-Man that has to deal with having his parents in the picture of his superhero life, and on a mainstream level no less. I know there are most likely in the comics a few stories with Miles or Spider-Man in general having to juggle keeping the secret from the family, and if you know any names, say them in the comments. But this may be the first that fully puts that on display and lets you really grasp that struggle on a bit of a theatrical sense, at least in animated form. It's different from what any teenager would expect out of a situation like this, so Miles being blindsided by this fits. Nobody fully walked him through the emotional turmoil that can come from this part of being Spider-Man, not even Gwen or Peter B. But that has to do more with how unique he is as a Spider-Man. His origin was different from everyone else's. The spider that bit him wasn't really supposed to be in his universe. He wasn't really supposed to be Spider-Man, but he is. We know for a fact that different things from other dimensions glitch out because they're out of place and clearly not supposed to be in that universe. And that glitch gets worse and worse until it can wipe you out. But why didn't the spider glitch out? By which I mean, why is it when the spider was there, it was glitching out, but when it bit Miles, he wasn't glitching out since that venom moving through his body wasn't making him glitch out or anything? You know what I mean? And you can't really say that the glitching doesn't affect the venom, since that would be pretty inconsistent. Why would it only have the spider glitch and not its properties? So in a sense, the venom was supposed to be there. Of course, I say this as a case of speculation a little bit, since we don't actually know what all the multiverse stuff could mean, and we probably won't know until 2035 for the sequel. Treat your crews better. That's just what I think when it comes to Miles coming into his own. He got his powers just like any other Spider-Man, but Miguel and the spider community denied him, made him seem like he was the freak that didn't belong, even though everything was out of his control. You gotta imagine how bad this is for Miles. He's fighting with keeping this big secret while maintaining a normal life, and suddenly learns there's a whole community of people like him that suddenly can't/won't help him. In fact, they try to stop him from being able to do his job and save his own father, all because of this whole canon event stuff and the fact that a Spider-Man is supposed to witness a police chief die, which is just asinine. In his mind, it's not hard to draw the conclusion that he thought he could breathe a sigh of relief thinking he can get help, only to get dogpiled like he stole something.
Fight back, nigga! Fight back, nigga! Fight back! Fight back!
Yeah, these niggas were putting hands on him. Luckily, Miles got a few hits back.
Stomp him in the nuts. We'll stomp him in the nuts. We'll stomp him in the nuts.
It goes to show that Miles basically has the whole multiverse riding against him from left and right. Even those he thought would help aren't really doing that. Gwen and Peter B could have done way more in helping him, but sadly they just let the society step all over Miles. Of course, they're all being led astray by Miguel, who pretty much is causing all the problems here. So it's most likely that they'll come to their senses and find out it's like, hey, none of this was right, obviously. So we're just hoping for the third film for that. Obviously, what Miguel said about the whole canon event stuff has holes in it, so Miles has a lot packed onto him with a bunch of spider people chasing him through the multiverse, but thankfully there ended up being some actual good ones out there for him. Y'all niggas play too much. Hey y'all, I wanted to take some time to do a spotlight of some indie projects and shows that are already out right now, because I really think indie is a very important thing that we should show our love and support for. These are projects that are made by people who are very passionate about the medium of animation, and we definitely need to give some type of support to them, and I just wanted to use my platform to give a shout out to a few every now and then. I'm gonna make it more means to put you in the know about these indie projects and shows that are out there for you to support. The indie I got for you today is called Revamped. Created by Shannon Mowat, it's a pilot about a teenage boy vampire named William just trying to go to school in peace. But that idea gets flipped on its head when he meets a very excitable and, let's say, imaginable boy named Callum, who doesn't know the secret about William. They become an inseparable duo that eventually grows into something more, if you know what I mean. It's a sweet pilot with a nice romantic premise that I'm sure many have been wanting to see for a while in the indie scene. William has that loner attitude, but has a heart of gold deep down. Plus, he'll beat down anyone that messes with Callum.
You will leave Callum alone. Unless you have a certain death wish you'd like me to grant for you.
Say that again. I couldn't hear you over the sound of me shitting myself.
Callum is blissfully ignorant, but such a lovable scamp, but clearly can't take a hint sometimes, but that's why Callum bothers with him. You actually get invested in these two fast with how good their chemistry comes across. It comes across pretty genuine and like something you've seen before in real life, where someone's a bit more quiet and the other is more eccentric and out there. It's reminiscent of those early 2000s supernatural teen animated shows. The portrayals of the characters give that feeling while still being new in its approach. Right now it only has one pilot out, but the creator Shannon is working on more, so definitely go over to the Revamped channel and social pages and subscribe and follow to be in the know about new episodes coming out. It's a unique romantic indie series that I'm sure can become a new fan favorite. Black solidarity is something that can run deep for a lot of us. Sometimes we can see some of our own in trouble and instantly want to go help them, having no prior interaction with that person, yet you don't want to see them get hurt. Can't fully explain why that is, but deep down for some of us, we just have an innate feeling to help them. As black people, a lot of us share the same stories or heard about them and know how the world works when it comes to our skin and how we're perceived. So we would rather not see any of our own in that situation, even if we may not know that particular person. I say all this to put a bit of perspective on why SpiderByte and SpiderPunk decided to help Miles. They had little time to really get to know him, but they saw how much was being brought down on him by an institution and knew they had to intervene. Of course, their interventions were small, but it left a big impact. SpiderPunk definitely had more to go off of for Miles. Obviously, sheltering Miles' girl would allow for Hobie to get a second-hand account of him.
Wendy, you left your jump around my place. Wouldn't let that shit happen to me, though.
He had some knowledge of what was going down with Miles upon finally meeting him, so it's not hard to see why he would help. Plus, you do have to keep in mind that Hobie is a rebel through and through. It fits perfectly that he would fight against an entire institution just cuz. But there's something significant at play for him. Some might think Hobie only helped Miles just to take down the Spider Society. They'd be wrong, since the way he helped Miles tells you how much Hobie cared. It's not just a case of Miles is a means to an end, since Hobie is clearly smart enough to go against the Spider Society on his own, or at least get people on board with that idea. This being backed up with him making his own dimension hopping watch like it was nothing. Hobie could see and feel the unfairness coming from Miguel. You saw how much he didn't really have high regards for Miguel or any of his Spider Society stuff, even giving a few snide remarks where he could. It shows that Hobie wasn't liking anything about how all this was supposed to go down. It makes Hobie's chat with Miles have more weight to it even. Hobie was trying to get Miles to drop out of all this wanting to join the society stuff, since it was for small reasons. He even told Miles to build his own watch if he just wanted to see his friends. Even made a case that Spider-Man is supposed to be independent. This whole entire talk comes across as a big brother looking out for his little brother. They didn't do much bonding, but you couldn't tell me they didn't have a bit of that energy as they were walking through that hall. But then again, Hobie kinda radiates big brother energy. I guess in this case it would be bug brother energy. All complaints can go here.
A fire pit!
Hobie came from what seemed like a pretty politically charged universe, so I don't think you'd be off in thinking he connected a bit to Miles on skin a bit. This was a point made by Khadija Umboy that we as black people can have an innate sense to help those that look like us when they're attacked by non-black people.
I'm not going to say this is the truth for all black folks, because again, we are not a monolith, but I do feel that way towards other black folks, even black conservatives. When white people start getting, especially white liberals, start getting a little too comfortable talking about Candace Owens or saying whatever, I'm just like, check yourself, boo.
So just knowing all that, it makes so much sense for Hobie to help out here. Now, we don't have the next film to fully know exactly what was going through Hobie's mind, but knowing that he was willing to throw everything on the line for Miles says more about his intentions. Now, coming to SpiderByte, there's admittedly not much to go off of for her since she had little screen time compared to Hobie, but I believe her helping Miles says a lot. She didn't get much of a talk with Miles or get that much of a feel for him, but she risked herself being ousted from the Spider Society to let Miles escape. This is all purely on instinct. In that moment when she's looking at Miles as he's escaping, all she could see was a black kid scared out of his mind trying to save his loved one. Now, we don't have any knowledge of what her backstory is, but chances are she's experienced something akin to what Miles is going through. Maybe even had a bit of that alien feeling of being kind of one of the few black people in this whole entire Spider Society. Maybe. We don't know. Won't know until the third film. So if you want theories on that type of stuff, there's even the idea that SpiderByte plays into the concept that some black women just inherently go out of their way to help black men. It has happened in many cases where a black man could get in trouble with the police either for bogus reasons or good reasons, but still choose not to report them or turn them in. It's not hard to see this as the case, since of all the people to still be at the building when everyone was chasing Miles, it was the black girl. Of course, she basically runs the devices for the place, but from a writing standpoint, her being there can have some significance. So it's definitely something to really think about come the next film, or more or less to just stew on with this factoid of her. I'd be wrong if I didn't bring up Jessica Drew, to be honest, and she kinda throws a wrench in the cogs of the idea of black solidarity for Spider-Verse, but actually I think it helps its case a smidge. She goes along with Miguel and even made it clear she wasn't going to be on Gwen's side even if she tried to help Miles. She's very much a go along to get along type in this movie. She wouldn't want to go against Miguel since that means she loses her position in the society, so she wouldn't be of any help then. But you can see she has some level of empathy in her with the fact that she sticks her neck out for Gwen some. So chances are that she needs to come to her senses because no way she actually thinks what Miguel is trying to do is okay. Ousting someone from being Spider-Man is not who Spider-Man is supposed to be. If anything, that's what makes this story so strong, by the fact that it can act as a mirror.
And then I went out there and now I'm not afraid of anything.
Miles was definitely some kind of upset when it came to Spider-Man lore. He was proof of Stan Lee's philosophy that anyone can wear the mask. He came into his own and became an interesting character that many absolutely love, but sadly many also hate. People deny him the mantle in real life, and a lot of that being based on a weird perception they have about Spider-Man. Many think Spider-Man is not complete without some sort of major tragedies happening to him. We've seen how that can look when it's too focused on, but really, no superhero is defined by their backstory. No one is. What you do in the now is what matters most, and Miles is just someone who does the right thing because it's the right thing. He's a black man doing what he said he'd do.
I'm gonna do my own thing.
He stands against the establishment, and that clearly sparked something in SpiderByte and SpiderPunk. They barely knew him, but something said this guy's different. This guy basically might be a revolutionary, and I need to follow him. He's gonna break the mold, and they wanted to follow him for it, as we saw by the end. They're very likely gonna get bigger roles in the next movie, so it's gonna be interesting to see it all play out. Black solidarity may be a small part of this film, but it has a big impact. It's subtly done and hopefully is built upon for the next outing. But that's just a thought.